Hi, this is Tara with Love Prevails. Thank you all for joining me today. I hope everybody had a really nice weekend. With the election just a few days away, I know emotions and anxiety is running wild right now for a lot of people. And I had the opportunity to interview a friend of mine, Bill, who's going to talk to us a little bit about how he deals with these types of situations and maybe give you a little bit of advice. And I hope that you get a lot out of it and enjoy this as much as I did. Here's Bill. I have a friend of mine, Bill, here to talk a little bit about his journey and his story and how he came to sobriety. Bill, with the election, everything going on right now, there's a lot of people feeling a little uneasy and unsure of, the state of our nation right now. Studies showed that with COVID in the election around that time, there was an uptick with mental illness issues as well as addiction. And I've been doing some research, and they're starting to find that people are turning to substances to cope with their feeling of uneasiness right now. Tell us a little bit about your journey and how you cope with difficult situations and how you stay, you keep your mind straight during this time.
Well, thank you for asking me to be here. It doesn't matter really the issue or the topic that causes me anxiety. My using, whether it's drugs or alcohol, is usually centered around my selfish thinking. I want the outcome to be my way. I want my life to look a certain way. And so fear of the unknown will set me, on a bender. I can drink because it's Tuesday, or Mondays are too long. The election or COVID, the Denver Post actually put out an article, and alcoholic-related deaths went up 30% in 2020 because of COVID. Because we were isolated, we were locked down, we didn't feel a part of, we didn't, the opposite of addiction is connection. We didn't have that connection anymore. And so, whatever, again, the topic, the election, as we pick sides, or we feel like, it's not going to turn out the way we want, and we have this anxiety inside, whatever the issue is, the emotions are the same. So I look at, okay, I do a little self-inventory, I think, okay, why am I feeling this way? And what can I do to think differently, or at least feel more at ease and at peace? And through the 12 steps that I've worked, it's really just about asking for help, whether it's from another person, or, I do use prayer in my particular journey, and I'm not praying to a certain deity or anything. It just calms me. So meditation, pointing my mind in the right direction. They told me a long time ago, stinking thinking leads to drinking. Mm-hmm. So as my negativity takes over, my anxiety wells up, I have to find tools for living that allow me to get back to center. Now, I'm never going to be the Zen master, and I'm trying to feel my emotions in balance today. Rather than being angry all the time, I have tools to bring me back to being happy, joyous, and free. So the walk, whatever it is, the election, whatever's on my mind, again, job loss, divorce, death, an election, whatever it is, whatever the anxiety that my mind is focusing on today, I have tools. I have little slogans I use. I can do some writing if I need to. There are no big deals. Once you recover from a disease that could kill you one day at a time, or find a way of staying sober and somewhat sane, you realize that this is all peripheral noise. I'm focusing on the wrong thing. What's truly important in my life? So as serenity comes with simplicity for me. So as I keep my mind, less scattered, and how's that going to turn out, or what's that going to look like? Again, to your point with politics and whatnot, I'm 58 years old. I've seen a lot of presidents come and go. The world has not burned up yet. I'm still here. My friend of mine likes to say, I have survived 100% of everything that's ever happened to me so far. So, I really got to just breathe God in and breathe Bill out. Okay. And again, I don't have a certain concept. I'm not trying to be religious with my statement. What I'm saying is that, life will go on. There's a lot of, different ways that I can look at things. I never used to. I was always caught in this endless circle. I heard once that, life is a roller coaster, but addiction is a merry-go-round. It doesn't ever change. So I get on that merry-go-round, and life just there may be some highs and lows, but the lows outweigh the highs. And so I had to find a place, because, drinking and using is just a symptom of my mind not being at peace, not being happy. And, and we can have some true chemical imbalances and clinical things. And, if you need a doctor, go get one. If you need a psychologist, go get one. Use all the tools that are available to you. I actually, I do go to AA. That's a tool I use. Prayer is a tool I use. I attend religious services once in a while, not for that message, but again, the commonality. If I'm in a room full of people who are seeking a spiritual solution to their life, I'm in the right place, whatever that looks like. So I keep that open, an open mind to new ideas and ways of healing myself and helping others to heal themselves is how I make it through the day. And my days get better when I string it together like that. And so, again, I voted last week, dropped it in the mailbox, and that issue is no longer on my mind. I did my civic duty. I feel a part of, in the sense that we're all living on this big blue rock together. So I don't ruin the forest by picking out some of the trees, And today, that is a different mindset than I ever had before. But I've worked on that. It takes effort. And so the program of action, whether it's in, again, helping others physically, whether it's you doing your job, trying to carry that message of recovery to the next person who is suffering internally. Because we do, and we suffer in silence. And addiction is a disease of isolation. It wants to separate us. And then we think we're different and we're not a part of. And, that's just my mind playing tricks on me. Because I have been shown over the 28 years that I've been sober, 27, sorry, I lied, that there are no big deals. We'll get past it. So, I like the topic of, how do you handle big moments in your life? See, because as an addict, I'm addicted to big emotions. I like drama. Anger is easy. I went to therapy one time, counseling with my wife, and he said, love is great. Love's a great emotion. Anger is stronger. And people don't realize that. And anger and, resentment will dissolve any good intention that I started out with. So if I'm looking at the other side politically and I have visceral emotions, something's wrong with me.
Right.
I need to turn, I'm spiritually sick in the moment. So I need to get back to that solution. And for me, again, it's prayer, meditation, reading the right books, focusing my magnifying mind on good things, not bad things. I know it sounds pretty simplistic. Simple, not easy,
right,
as they say. So, again, whatever the topic may be, COVID was tough. I mean, separation, we'd never seen it before. We didn't know what to do. We were treading new waters. Political upheaval's not new. Right. We've all seen it before. We made, if you're old enough, you made it to the 60s. You learn your history. This is just a moment in time.
Right.
It's a moment in time, but it's my life. And my life matters more than any politician, any way. Because, I've seen politicians go from one party to the other. They change their mind. Holy crud. Yes, you can do that. Yes, you can learn. You can move forward in a new way. But it does take some work. It does take some willingness, I guess I should say. Do you know what I mean?
I do. Now, you said a couple things that I really liked. One of them, the opposite of addiction is connection. I am a big time, oh gosh, the word just slipped my mind. I love to be alone. I like my own company.
Sure.
I like my home. And so, isolator. So for me, it's really, really easy for me to just stay alone, and getting out. And, since I have gone through my sobriety journey, I have built a huge connection that I never had before. Men, women of all ages, all walks of life, and I've really enjoyed that, and they're there for me when I need them. You also talked about how anger destroys us. Fear destroys us as well, and learning how to work through my fear, learning how to work through my anger, it was life-changing for me. It wasn't overnight, but it was life-changing. I feel like right now I am kind of in this spiritual battle over the last couple weeks some things have gone on for me. One of them in particular could have literally destroyed my entire life. And instead, at the moment I was upset and I was in absolute fear. The difference between me being able to handle that situation today and how I would have handled it in my addiction were vastly different.
Yes.
I had a moment of panic and fear, talked to a few friends, worked through it, made sure that I was doing what I needed to do. Whereas in the past, it would have destroyed me.
Yeah.
I would have spent a lot of time, feeling sorry for myself. Why me? It would have destroyed me. And so for me, who I was in my addiction and who I am today is night and day, very, very different. And so I do appreciate that.
Well, they refer to that it's the psychic change. It's the change in thinking because, nobody bends my elbow for me. I make a decision based on fear. And I talk about anger, but anger usually, fear is the root cause. I'm upset, I'm angry at, let's say you, because you don't agree with me. I'm afraid you don't understand me, or whatever the fear may be. And you can get psychological on that. You can peel layers of the onion if you want. But the idea that how I react to it, I'm sober in the same world I drink in. Okay, I still got a boss. I still got deadlines. I still got to be at work on time. I used to have a wife. I'm the plaintiff now, but I have these things that have not changed. Bill changed, okay, and that's part of I want the world to change for me, and that's my selfishness, and that causes me anxiety, and I have to remember that that's not how this works. It's God's universe and God's way of doing things. At least that's the way I look at it. It ain't mine. Let's just put it that way. I am not in control of traffic lights or you or the election or whatever it is. And if I can't get back to an internal peace and harmony, I'm going to be at odds with the world for a very long time. And that's going to cause me to want to ease that pain. If I'm in pain long enough, no matter how much sobriety I have, I will revert back to my old ways. So, like you said, to think differently. And it started as simple as sober beats drunk. I didn't used to think that way. I liked being drunk. At the bar on a Friday night was what I lived for. I was killing myself and didn't realize it. So that shift in perception and then the power that comes behind it as you feed it one day at a time, hopefully that message gets a lot bigger than the old messages in my mind. You know what I'm saying? And so like you said, I've got an issue, whatever it is. Normally I would use and drink over that. Today, I don't. Yes, I heard a friend say, happy, sad, mad, or glad I drank. And today, happy, sad, mad, or glad I don't. The emotions, the reality of life doesn't really shift all that much. But my perception and, my reaction to it, and with the 12 steps, I transcend those issues to the point where I don't have to bend my elbow. Mm-hmm. That's the miracle of it for me.
Yeah. It's funny, when I was internet dating, if a man's profile said that he didn't drink, I was like, heck no.
Of course.
Boring.
Of course.
But now, I see that very, very differently. You gotta let go of the things you can't control.
Yeah.
Bill, thank you so much. I'm really, I feel, proud that you were able to come on and that you did this for me, and you had a lot of really great things to say, so thank you so much.
Thanks for being here.
All right, so I really hope that you enjoyed that as much as I did. I loved that interview. This has been a lot of fun for me. If you would like to share your story, I know your story is going to change lives, and please reach out to me. Allow me the opportunity to interview you. At Love Prevails, I just want to let you know that we do offer support services for those that are considering sobriety in their sobriety journey, for their families, their loved ones who are struggling, watching their loved one sink into the very destructive and scary life of addiction, and to help guide you through that. Also, intervention service support. So if you could please reach out to me through Intervention Support Services, Love Prevails. I'd love the opportunity to connect with you. to see how I can help you. I appreciate you giving me grace with my I'm so technologically challenged, and so this is trying out a new format is so out of my comfort zone, but we'll figure it out eventually. And I just want to let you know that your best life is waiting for you. Connect with me and we can find it together. Thanks again for watching. I really appreciate all the support that I am receiving. I hope you have a wonderful week. See you next Monday, every Monday. If you will like, follow, share, post every Monday at 3:30. I will go live, and hopefully I will have my technological issues worked out between now and next Monday. Have a good week.